Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on 7 key considerations when choosing a continuous compliance solution. My name is Shua Mateen, and I'm a Senior Product Marketing Manager at Progress Chef, primarily focusing on product marketing initiatives for chef compliance and security products. We also have with us Lokesh, who's a Senior Product Manager at Progress Chef. A few housekeeping items before we get started. There are two options to join computer audio. You can join using computer audio or using your phone. If you're unable to hear us, we'd recommend you use the computer audio option. All lines will be muted, but we'll be taking questions throughout the presentation. If you have any questions at any time during the presentation, simply submit the questions via the question panel. We will address all your questions at the end of the presentation. Lastly, the session will be recorded and the recording will be shared with all of you who registered for the webinar. So quickly moving on to the agenda for today's discussion, we will go through some of the security and compliance challenges faced by DevOps and DevSecOps folks in their DevOps processes. We'll also look at how continuous compliance solution comes into play and how they can help. We'll discuss how continuous compliance can be achieved by following a policy as code approach, and we'll also cover some key factors that you need to consider when investing in a continuous compliance solution. Lokesh then will walk you through how chef compliance helps in solving your continuous compliance challenges and helps in maintaining continuous compliance in your DevOps workflows. And finally, we'll wrap up with Q&A. So I'm quite sure that everybody on this call clearly understands the relevance of security and compliance in DevOps. It is critical as organizations must ensure that the software they develop, the software they deploy, it aligns with all the required laws, regulations, industry standards, and so on, right? And even sometimes internal policy requirements are there in organizations. So DevOps teams must also implement the appropriate security policies and frameworks. However, all these security, with all said and done, security and compliance lapses are still bound to occur, given the complex nature of IT ecosystems today, right? And while organizations are definitely aware of the impact of security and compliance breaches, we've learned that they face many challenges in managing continuous security and compliance. And we thought it'll be good to go through some of these challenges. So almost every organization must comply with regulatory requirements depending on the nature of their business, depending on the industry or the geography that they operate in. And there are multiple regulations that each organization's need to comply with, and decoding these complex requirements and implementing within their DevOps workflows can be a very daunting process. Another significant challenge is in adding security and compliance elements in DevOps workflows is that operational development, security and compliance teams, they all have their own language, their own goals, their own corporate culture. So if you think about it, compliance teams, they know how the regulatory policies work and how to work with documents. Security teams understand vulnerabilities, but they aren't typically working with code. And developers and operation teams, they work with code, but not paying attention to compliance and security requirements. And so all these teams, they speak different languages and have different goals, which can cause misunderstandings and ambiguity. Another challenge is that with increasing cloud and container adoption, organizations struggle to maintain security practices in the cloud. And with the shared responsibility model for cloud services, they kind of need to draw the line where the responsibility of the cloud providers ends and where the responsibility of the organization themselves start, right? And security breaches in the cloud environment, they often arise from insecure interfaces and APIs, weak identity and access management, cloud misconfigurations, some actions by malicious insiders or misuse of privileges assigned to them. Another challenge is that often teams grapple with remediating compliance issues found during audits. There is no mechanism to, no proper formal approach to remediate issues in an automated fashion. And the current security compliance efforts, they provide very limited visibility into the overall compliance posture of the organization. And this can cause a lot of risk to the environment. So this, I'm sure most of you in the call would have experienced some of these challenges in your security and compliance challenges, particularly in your DevOps processes. So how does continuous compliance help, right? So we've gone through the challenges. So let's see how continuous compliance solutions comes into the picture. So continuous compliance, it really involves shifting security and compliance left and incorporating automated compliance checks into the DevOps pipeline. So this allows you to kind of monitor compliance in real time, right? And this proactive approach enables early detection and swift resolution of compliance issues, ensuring that non-compliant or gaps in compliance are properly identified and addressed very early in your DevOps workflows. Identifying and remediating non-compliant aspects early in the software development, it whole kind of reduces the potential for security breaches or violations, enabling you to avoid any legal repercussions, reputational damage, or financial penalties. And with a continuous compliance solution, you can easily generate very precise and pointed, up-to-date compliance reports that demonstrate adherence to these regulatory requirements, the availability of comprehensive documentation and automated compliance checks. It whole helps you or aids you in the auditing process. Any document that is required can be easily accessed, and it reduces the time and effort required for compliance assessments. Again, compliance and security, they kind of go hand in hand. It's just that compliance is driven by an external agency or a regulator or any other body of authority, and security is your own controls and safeguards that you put in place. And continuous compliance strengthens an organization's overall security posture, overall security standing. By integrating security controls and automating security scans into the DevOps pipeline, you can effectively pinpoint and mitigate any security risks. You can also promote collaboration among different stakeholders, whether it's your developers, security, and compliance. And we'll see how code can be a single language which is used between these different parties for collaboration. And last but not the least, continuous compliance practices also empower organizations to kind of achieve scalability and consistency in their compliance efforts. With automated compliance checks and automated configurations, you can ensure that compliance requirements are kind of consistently applied across different environments. And this reduces the risk of any configuration violations or configuration errors. Now, we spoke about the challenge of security and compliance. We spoke about how continuous compliance solutions can help, right? So one of the ways that you can achieve continuous compliance is by following a policy as code approach, right? By codifying your security and compliance policies. So if you think about it, a policy enforces constraints and restrictions to prevent unauthorized access to resources such as databases or storage services, operating systems, or whatever, right? So by codifying and integrating policies into the whole SDLC, you can enforce rules and constraints throughout the software development lifecycle to prevent any non-conforming resources from being deployed. So you can actually codify your security policies, your compliance policies, your governance policies, all of that. And so that whether it's all of your teams, your DevOps teams, security teams, compliance teams, all of you have this access to the single common language. And in addition to reducing errors and preventing security breaches, this approach enables organizations to remain compliant in a consistent manner. So we spoke about the security and compliance challenge in DevOps. We spoke about the benefits of a continuous compliance solution and how you can achieve continuous compliance by adopting a policy as code approach. Now let's look at some of the key factors that we suggest you should keep in mind when choosing a continuous compliance solution. Of course, it's essential to consider your current needs and also look into what your future requirements could possibly be. So when you think of it, a policy as code solutions, mostly they evolve from compliance management solutions or infrastructure provisioning platforms or from Kubernetes platform governance tooling. So the goal really should be that you can cater to multiple use cases with one single solution. So it makes sense to invest in a solution that continues to innovate and evolve um, with the overall technology landscape. So there's some homework to be done here and look for a solution that is constantly innovating. We are all aware that, again, cloud adoption is skyrocketing. Organizations are migrating workloads to the cloud, or they move from virtualized to containerized environments. Therefore, it really makes sense for the infrastructure and operations teams to evaluate tools for continuous compliance that protect cloud and container-based infrastructure. Continuous compliance solutions are, again, very rapidly growing, very rapidly evolving, and have heavy dependencies on exactly how infrastructure is provisioned and managed, along with how different applications communicate with each other. So when seeking a policy as code or a continuous compliance solution, consider your existing infrastructure and application development tooling roadmaps to ensure that whatever you choose, the solution that you choose will be interoperable with other systems in the coming years. Again, we've spoke about this. IT ecosystems can be very complex. You have different hardware, different on-prem resources, different databases, different virtual machines, servers, network resources. So while handling such complexity, it would be very helpful to look for a solution that can scan different types of profiles or that can add different types of environments for a range of resources. We spoke about policy as code approach to automate continuous compliance. So there could be compliance as code or infrastructure as code. So we should always ask ourselves this question that these easy coding techniques, right? You should, because the learning curve should not be very steep. You should prioritize your solutions with a short learning curve, as very complex programming structures might kind of hinder your time to market. So while policy as code is good, you should ensure that it's easy to learn and implement. As a buyer, you also need to be wary of solutions that are not feature compatible across different multiple resource types. For instance, today, there's a considerable focus and support for Kubernetes policy management. However, remember that policy and compliance must also extend outside of Kubernetes clusters into virtual machines, into managed cloud resources, all of that, right? So consider the breadth of solutions that your solution must be compatible with. Again, in terms of security and compliance, it is very key, and this is one of the challenges we spoke about, not able to have a comprehensive view across your IT ecosystem. So when zeroing down on your compliance automation software, choose a solution that will provide you with a very consolidated view across all of your different resources, so that you get an overall view into your IT estate's compliance and security posture. So these, in our opinion, are some of the factors that you should be considering when evaluating a continuous compliance solution. We really hope that these will be helpful for you. With that, now I'll pass the session to Lokesh, who's a product manager, and he'll help us in understanding how Chef Compliance and Chef Cloud Security can help in achieving continuous compliance in your DevOps tool chains. Over to you, Lokesh.
Thanks, Shiva, for covering on the challenges related to security and compliance in DevOps, and how compliance solution can address those challenges, and also for covering on the key considerations while choosing a continuous compliance solution. So, all right, now let's see how DevOps user can achieve continuous compliance with Chef compliance and cloud security. All right. So there are 5 stages involved in achieving continuous compliance: acquire, define, monitor, remediate, and report. So now let's see what each stage, what happens in each stage. So in the acquire stage, the users can access the trusted content, so which are aligned to industry benchmarks for audit and remediations. So with extensively tested, chef curated and CA certified content, organizations can get started quickly and ensure that the remediation aligns directly to the audit results. So basically, they see which benchmarks to run for the particular day or for a particular week or for a particular quarter. So that's in the acquire stage. And in the define phase or in the define stage, Chef makes it easy to define the compliance baselines. And one more important thing to note is it allows users to tune the baselines to the organization's unique needs. That is, with help of flexible compliance waiver capabilities. So these capabilities allows team to turn on or turn off the individual controls in order to avoid any misconfigurations or any false positives. And in the define stage, users can customize or modify the profiles, apply waivers suitable for the business needs, and set up a compliance scan. So in the detect phase or in the detect stage, users can run or trigger the scan jobs. And in these scan jobs, no, the content defined in the previous stage, that is in the defined phase, are consumed via our inspect product line and ensure that the misconfigurations are detected. So here users continuously monitor and evaluate the compliance posture by detecting the deviations from the intended state at any point in the software delivery lifecycle. And in the remediation phase, so compliance users remediate the non-compliant rules or failed rules or misconfigurations with help of the policy-driven remediation capabilities. So with the help of remediation cookbooks, which is present in infra, chef infra, fail controls are remediated, and users ensure that these controls are in aligned with the audit benchmark or audit related controls. And so this is about the remediation aspect. And one more thing to note, so while applying remediation cookbook, users don't need to master, or user don't need to require any compliance coding skills as well. And in the final phase, that is in the reporting phase, so Chef Automate is the key product or key dashboard is used, where users can get to know the up-to-date visibility across heterogeneous states. So they can easily view differences between the baseline and the remediated states. They can track different status of each controls. They can track different status of each nodes. And they can also see the scan history. So all these things can be seen in the automate dashboard. And one more thing to note, Chef Compliance also provides capabilities to export the report to different platforms like ServiceNow or Splunk, etc. All right, so these are the 5 stages involved in continuous complaints, and we have seen how Chef Compliance can help in addressing these needs. Now let's take a quick preview about Chef Cloud and container security solutions. So we have launched our cloud security, that is a CSPM product, in 2022. So some of the key features for CSPM are, number one is to audit, monitor, and detect misconfigurations. Our CSPM identifies the misconfigurations and policy changes through constant auditing, and also reducing the risk of unresolved misconfigurations that lead to costly breaches. So it checks for misconfigurations across all the cloud providers like AWS, GCP, Azure, and also and it also covers the Docker host, Docker images to Kubernetes plane. So that is checking for misconfiguration in all Kubernetes related components. And then the second feature is to have continuous security posture management. That is, our CSP ensures cloud environments are always secure and compliant through continuous auditing for policy changes, enforcement, and risk assessment. So, and another feature we have is the good coverage on CAS, STIG, and SOC 2 related benchmarks for cloud. We also offer different benchmarks pertaining to Dockers, GKE, EKS, AKS, and OpenShift related container related platforms as well. And if you're interested for any other benchmarks like FedRAMP, NIST, and PCI, please let us know. We can accommodate in our roadmap and share the benchmarks for auditing. And you can also, and another one point to note is, again I mentioned in the previous slide, users can also export the reporting data to different third-party tools like ServiceNow and Splunk. So this is another feature used by our CSPM users a lot. So in a nutshell, users can check for privileged account access, see if there are any S3 buckets with unsecured access, see if there are any open or suspicious network connections, see if there are any data leaks happening, and correct correct all this with with appropriate remediation measures or with remediation cookbooks. So all this can be done, no, with less than 5 steps from our Chef Cloud security offering. And then finally, one of our primary use case of our offering is it provides one-stop solution for multiple cloud providers. And basically, users can view all the reports in a single dashboard. So that is our key USP. And yeah, that's the overview about the Chef Cloud and container related security. Now let's see a quick case study from our customer iManage, who is using the Chef compliance automation solution. So iManage is a company which provides solutions and content management, document and email management solutions. So it was started in 1995. It is based out of Chicago with more than 750 employees. So they came to Chef for two key use cases. One is configuration management and compliance management for their on-prem devices and for their cloud-related and content-related targets. So they were facing challenges in terms of configuring and managing their deployments, as well as the compliance side of the targets or compliance side of nodes. So there has been a lot of manual resources and a process involved earlier. So they were having a lot of challenges in terms of scaling their nodes, ensuring the security and compliance of the nodes. So the solution what they have taken is Chef Compliance Automation solution. So with help of Chef Compliance Automation solution, they can able to achieve the configuration management and both configuration management and compliance management seamlessly. So they can able to set up the software quickly and they can manage everything in an automated manner. So they can able to write. So all these things, they have done with the policy as a code approach by writing a meaningful code, and they have achieved their end goal of checking the compliance on targets. So to summarize, they have reduced the installation time by 80%, and they have improved on application delivery rate by 66%. So this is about a key testimonial from iManage on Chef compliance and CSPM solution. All right, let's conclude with key takeaways from the session. So on the key takeaways, so we have looked at different challenges a DevOps user faces from security and compliance perspective, how continuous compliance solutions can address those challenges, how it can be done with a policy as a code approach, what are the factors to be considered while purchasing continuous compliance solution. So to summarize the factors to be considered, number one is to ensure that tools provide the good amount of collaboration among different teams like DevOps, compliance, and security teams, so that the compliance is checked or evaluated seamlessly. And then second factor is like to consider tools that protect cloud and container-based infrastructure as well. And third is to keep your existing infrastructure and other tools in mind while evaluating and see how the compliance solution would be interoperable down the line in the roadmap perspective. And fourth, consider the tool that support shift left approach and also has a good amount of coverage in terms of different benchmarks, in terms of different profiles that is related to CAS, TIG, PCI, HIPAA, FedRAMP, and covering different operating systems, different servers, and different platforms. And also consider a solution which provides a way for users to do the scanning via policy as a code approach. And with this coding, no, the policy as a code, that the coding should not involve the compliance programming structures or compliance programming algorithms. So it should be easy to use and easy to consume. And finally, you can also see if the solution provide a dashboard in a single pane of view, which allows users to check for compliance on different estates and different heterogeneous environment like cloud, container, and on-prem related nodes. All right, that's about the key takeaways. So with that, that brings me to the end of the presentation. Now let's move on to Q&A.
I see a couple of questions in Q&A section. So the first one is, can we edit or customize the audit content to suit our organization's specific policies? So with this one, no, yes, very well. Users can customize the profiles. So one of the primary use case with Chef complaints on customizing profile is they customize the premium content provided by Chef, and they try to curate their own content suitable to PCI, HIPAA, or GDPR related complaints, or they can also very well curate the content to their business needs based on their timeline. Like, let's say if I have to run certain controls for this week or certain controls for this quarter, they can very well customize those controls and run the scan. So this is this is regarding customizing profiles, and this, that's the beauty of our inspect engine, no? It provides a lot of flexibility to the users to customize the content. And adding to it, no, we have another concept of having own custom resources or own custom inspect resources. So basically, controls are created based on resources, no? So users can also create their own custom resource, and with the help of their own custom resource, they can also curate their own content. So that is with respect to customizing the audit content. And coming to the next question, like how one can deploy the Chef compliance solution. So this is an interesting question. So we support both on-prem and SaaS-based deployments. So most of our customers are in on-prem, and we are seeing a lot of traction in SaaS-based deployments recently also. So for the certain, you have to follow certain steps to deploy the on-prem or SaaS-based deployment. So please reach out to our support team. They can guide you on the steps to follow. All right. So these are the questions I see in the chat. So for further clarifications, please reach out to us in community Slack. We are available 24/7 in community Slack. So yeah, we hope you have enjoyed this insightful session. We appreciate your time and effort for joining this session. Thanks a lot, everyone, for joining this, and have a great day. Bye.